So we looked at some ways that you can sample bad. Now let's look at some ways that you can sample well. Sampling with random sampling, any kind of randomness involves using chance process. If you do that, you will get a better representation of your population in your sample. A simple random sample is called an SRS. This is very popular. Simple random sample means everybody in the population has equal chance to be selected. And it's just basically the entire pool of people, and from the entire pool of people, you are picking said number of, people or animals or objects to either, measure something on or ask questions to, etc. All right, and so there are two types of sampling, without replacement and with replacement. If it's without replacement, the person or animal or object, the individuals, can only be selected once. But if it's with replacement, the individuals can be selected more than once. And so here are some methods used for random sampling. We're going to look at how to use slips of paper, we're going to use technology, and we're going to use random digits table. Using slips of paper is very common. In the AP exam, it's well respected and accepted, even though in reality, in real world, you might not use this method per se, but it is accepted to explain chance process on the AP exam. Miss Snyder only has 2 cookies. She wants to give the cookies to 2 of her students, but she can't pick which 2 because she loves them all. Describe how to choose an SRS of 2 students from a class of 25 students. So first, you're always going to start with your labeling process. Label, and we're going to identical slips of paper. So this is important that you're including the identical part because we are trying to convey to the reader that it's equally likely for each paper to be selected. If you choose different sizes of paper, that will affect the outcome. Therefore, you are identifying them to be identical slips of paper. And we are going to label the identical slips of paper with student names. We're going to put it in a container and mix well. Here again, the mixing well, I know it sounds silly to think about necessarily, or too simple to think about, but it is important to include because this too conveys chance process. Then you're going to select 2 slips, give the cookies whose names are on the slips of paper. Done. So it's very simple, easy way to use slips of paper to choose a random sample from a population. Technology. We're going to use graphing calculator, of course. So to promote positive classroom culture, Mr. Wilcox often asks his students to share good news because he doesn't have time to let every student share each day. He takes a sample of students who will share. Describe how to use a random generator, aka we're going to use a graphing calculator, to select an SRS of 5 students from 29 students. Label students 1 through 29. So again, we have a labeling process. We're labeling our individuals numbers because the graphing calculator will select numbers. Use graphing calculator to select 5 random, distinct, different from each other numbers. Have the students associated to the numbers share their good news. And so you're going to then write down the calculator function that you will be using. We're using the randint no rep. The lowest number is 1, the highest number is 29, n is 5, which is the number of students being selected, and these are the numbers I had gotten when I did that in class with the graphing calculator. Let me show you how to do that on the graphing calculator real quick using Calculate 84. And we're going to go to Math, and it's on the top PRB probability first. And then from probability, you have the choice of picking rand, but we don't want rand because that will just give us any number. We want whole numbers, which are integers. So we're going to put rand int. But there's also another one, 8, which is rand int no rep, which means distinct numbers, different numbers. We don't want to choose the same student over again. So you do that. Your minimum, this one says minimum, maximum. The calculator and TI calculator at school says lower and upper, but it doesn't matter. It conveys the same meaning. So 1 And then we have, was it 29 students? And then how many students are we selecting? 5. And then you hit enter, and those are your 5 numbers. Those don't match my notes because I used the graphing calculator to find the other ones. And this is me just showing you how to do it on the calculator using the app. All right. You could practice this yourself by pausing the video here and doing the next example. The third method is using random digits table, which is a table that's given to you on the AP exam. And so let me show you, demonstrate how to do this one. This one has more specific steps that you have to follow. So each year, the State Department of Education randomly selects 3 schools from each district and conducts a detailed audit of their attendance records. Describe how to use a random digits table or random digits to select SRS of 3 schools from the list of 19 schools. So step number 1 is to label the schools 0, 1 to 19. Notice I put 0, 1 and not 1. This is because you're going to look at your maximum number of whatever items, individuals you have. In this case, they are schools. So the individuals here in this study is 19. And you look at this and you look at its 2 digits. Therefore, all the numbers must be 2 digits. So the idea is when you're using a random digits table, this is what it looks like, kind of similar to this. I don't know if the exact one I gave you is this. And here you could see that the first column here, let me pull my accessibility pointer thing. So 101, this is not the random digits part. These are the random digits. Here was probably generated by particular, what do you call it? Software. So, but these are the line numbers. So sometimes you say you're going to start on line 104, 105, 101, whatever. You get to pick, or sometimes the question tells you to pick. If the question tells you to pick a specific line number, please make sure you go to that line number and start there. They are separated by spaces in between every 5 digits, but that's just for readability. So if you're choosing 2 at a time, for example, starting on line 1, you're choosing 19, you're choosing then 22, then 39, 3 from here, 9 from here, 50, then 34, 05, 75, 62, etc. And if you're choosing way past this line, you would go to the next line and make sure if that 3 is not used at the very end, you would pair it up with the 7 here. So in other words, you're not discarding any number. No numbers get discarded at all. Okay, so let's look back here. We're labeling the schools 0, 1 to 19 because we're choosing 2 digits at a time. We're going to select 2 digits at a time. Ignore, there's an ignore rule for most of these table ones. We're ignoring 0, 0 if we ever get 0, 0. Ooh, I can get rid of that. Actually, I'm going to get rid of this because I like my laser pointer better. We're going to ignore 0, 0 and then 20 to 99 because these numbers are outside of the range of these numbers. So anything outside of the range of these numbers that are 2 digits must be ignored. 20 to 99. 0, 0 is a possibility of occurring, so we're going to ignore that too. And any repeats. Why? Because we want to choose 3 schools to audit. So if we're choosing 3 schools, we don't want to choose the same school twice. Stop after getting 3 distinct numbers. We're going to get 3 2-digit distinct numbers. Do not confuse the digit number with the number of your sample. Your sample is 3, but your digits are 2 at a time because these are only the maximum number of schools is 2 digits long. All right, then the district will audit attendance records of the schools associated with those numbers. All right, so let's carry this out. We chose to number them this way in class, so I kept it consistent with the notes in class. So 0, 1, 0, 2, etc. all the way to 19. That's the easy part. And then it said to use the random digits here to choose the sample. So we looked at the first 2, 62. We're actually going to follow these rules. We're selecting 2 digits at a time. We're ignoring these. And then we're going to stop after getting 3 distinct numbers that fit our criteria. So 62 is too much. It's in the ignore group. The ignore group is from 20 to 99 and 00. Ignore. So next one is 08. Well, that's great because it's not a part of the ignore, and it's a number between 01 and 19. So that's great. We're going to keep that one. And then 16 is the next one. Notice the 1 comes from here and the 6 comes from the next set of 5 numbers. It doesn't matter that there's space in between. 16 is the next one. Great, we keep that. 48, we do not keep. Not good because it's in the ignore group because it's 20 to 99. 16, we're going to ignore again because it's a repeat. Therefore, we must ignore 16, even though that is a legitimate number that fits in our numbering system here. We already have 16. 87, outside of the range. 37, outside of the range. 40, outside of the range. 95, outside of the range. 17, that fits. It's not outside of the range. It's not this. It's not repeats. So we keep 17. And because we already have 3 distinct numbers, we're done, we stop. And so we're going to contact schools Haralson, Prince, and Rio Vista based on that is 08 is Haralson Elementary, Prince Elementary, and Rio Vista are the schools that are being audited. To check your understanding is right here. I'm going to You can, I'm not going to go through this one. You could pause the video here, try it yourself. And notice here for the table of random digits, I said start on line 104. I'm forcing you to start on line 104. I gave you this table in class. So if you want to use the table I gave you in class, you will get the same numbers if you follow this rule. And you start on 104. If you start on any random number line, you're not going to get the same digits.